You're watching Trailers from Hell, and this is Axelle Carolyn, here to once again tell you that a movie you thought sucked is actually awesome. If you've watched some of my other trailer commentaries, you probably know that I love Hammer films, and I also love Kung Fu horror. And I grew up on both of those. I grew up on a lot of different movies, but that was two of the kind of types of movies that I really liked. And one fine day I discovered there was one movie that married both of those loves. And you can imagine my happiness when I discovered that, and to this day I still find it wonderful. A lot of people have criticized it. A lot of people will tell you that its plot makes no sense, or that the acting is not great, but who cares? This is the Shaw Brothers and Hammer Films making a movie together. It has vampires, it has fighting skeletons, it has Peter Cushing, it has Kung Fu. This is a pure gem, and it's called The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
From Warner Brothers, who crashed the action barrier with Enter the Dragon, comes a new dimension in black belt thrills.
Hammer films have always been most successful with traditional Gothic scares, but by the early 70s, the formula had been run to the ground. Competing against the likes of Rosemary's Baby or The Wicker Man required a different approach, so they sent their big cash cow, Dracula, into modern day for a couple of movies, and they mixed it all up with a hint of devil worshipping, which seemed to be hip with the kids. But even that wasn't enough to bring the audience back. So Hammer turned to another type of movies that was increasingly cool and popular at the time, martial arts movies, and they had the genius idea of teaming up with Shaw Brothers. The two companies agreed on splitting production costs on two pictures to be shot in Hong Kong. And so the first Kung Fu horror spectacular was born. The experience, however, wasn't easy for anyone, least of all director Roy Ward Baker. The English crew didn't get along with the Hong Kong crew, they didn't speak the same language, obviously. Locations were hard to find, sets weren't soundproofed, because a lot of local movies were ADR'd anyway. And the movie went way over budget, forcing Hammer to take a loan to complete it, as well as the second picture of the deal, a thriller named Shatter. Worst of all for the director, but best for us. The Shaw Brothers weren't satisfied with the action sequences, so they dispatched one of their own director, Chiang Shai, the godfather of Hong Kong cinema, to film better Kung Fu fights. And honestly, the fights are just one of the many joys of this movie. They're fun, they're nicely choreographed, and you know, anytime anyone round kicks an evil skeleton, I'm pretty happy. But that's not all. The Shaw Brothers and Hammer aesthetics combine really well. It's shot in beautiful Eastman color, it's using great desolate landscapes and awesome Gothic sets. Peter Cushing plays Van Helsing, although whether this is the same Van Helsing as in the original Hammer Dracula's Dr. Lawrence Van Helsing is subject to some debate. Regardless, Cushing is solid as ever, but the few European characters are quickly upstaged by the Chinese, who are strong and fight like badasses, including a woman, which is certainly not usual for Hammer. The one downside, and it's a big one, is Dracula himself, played by John Forbes-Robertson, who had a small part in The Vampire Lovers 3 years before. He looks like he's wearing a Halloween costume. He's so uncomfortable in his cape and his bright red lipstick. On top of that, he's dubbed. Well, thankfully we don't see much of him. Sadly, The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires was a bomb, proving once again that people don't know what's good for them. Hammer didn't go through with their plans to send Dracula to India for Kali, Devil Bride of Dracula. I will forever mourn that loss, but I'm grateful that we got to witness the peculiar magic of The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
As Hammer and the Shaw Brothers together create the first martial arts horror spectacular ever filmed.